Okay, so this is what Susan came up with, I think, and Sean and Tiffany were involved in it, and they were starting to say that when they could no longer access my finances and they couldn't get away with stealing from me, they actually made up a story about how I was coming on to Sean and I was hitting on him and I wanted to have sex with him, right? Which is why they had to kick me out of the house. Which was untrue. They said this because they wanted a reason for people to hate me and believe them as to why they were kicking me out of the house. But they didn't kick me out of the house, they just threw me out for no reason, and they actually had a lot of people believe them. And this was because they said it sounded plausible without knowing me or Sean. And the reason why they believed this was because they said that I was just a fucked up loser who does that kind of stuff, which is why I couldn't graduate from university, which was why everyone hated me, which is why I keep getting my stuff stolen, because I wanted to have sex with Sean. That wasn't true. Sean wanted to have sex with me and has been repeatedly trying to molest me since I was a child. I have no idea how people couldn't tell this. He's an alcoholic. I don't think he has a post-secondary educational degree. He lives below the poverty line. And they were targeting me, an innocent kid, since I was a kid. And they believed him. And those families saying, yeah, that's what happened.
Next stop.
And I don't know why people support this idea. I don't know why anybody would believe it. Some of them were just racist and said that East Asian people are just fucked up like that and they do that kind of stuff to each other all the time. Ironically, those people are the ones who are actually having sex with their family members, knowingly or not. Some people didn't know that they were family members, and I'm like, I would just have a weird feeling about the entire thing. Honestly. That's how I would feel. I'd be like, yeah, that's fucked up. But that's what they were telling everyone else, and they believed it. And I don't really care that they believed it because these are complete strangers to me, which is really odd. If somebody came up to me and told me a story about somebody I didn't know, I'd be like, ha ha ha, yeah, okay, thanks. I wouldn't actually believe them and start talking about them as if, yeah, I know them and stuff. But again, I have manners and a brain. But that's what they believed, and they were spreading this propaganda partly because they were involved with David Nagy, the refugee, and partially because the immigration realized they fucked up with my citizenship, and they were hoping that if they lied about it enough people would believe it. And some people did, which was the biggest problem because now it became slander and libel. And I don't know why people thought it was plausible. A lot of people didn't know because their judgment was clouded by jealousy, but that's why they were saying those things, because they were incredibly jealous of me. And they didn't, and the reason why Sean was doing this was because I actually owned my own property and had valuables to my name. And he didn't like that. He said that I wasn't supposed to have any valuables and I wasn't supposed to have an education because he doesn't like the fact that I'm alive. And that's the only reason he adopted me, was so that he could slowly kill me when I got older. And he's been planning to rape me and sexually assault me, and there's been guys who knew about this, right? And they told me that, like, since you're so in love with that guy, you know, why don't you just have sex with me, and then you don't have to have sex with that guy. I'd be like that guy. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. I didn't understand until I realized that people are saying that I want to have sex with Sean, and I'm like, why would I want to do that? And they thought I was just lying to their face and like hiding my true feelings, and I'm like, I don't think that's what I'm doing, because that's not what I'm doing. And I don't know why you would think that I personally would be attracted to that guy. It's like you don't even know me, which was my entire point. I was like, you don't know me, you don't know who that guy is, you don't know anything about me. I have no idea why you think you're saying those things, and spreading those rumors is beneficial to anyone. Like, what does that even achieve? Other than like making yourself look like a complete retard and getting people to hate you. Like, I just don't understand why anybody would say those things. And they couldn't understand or fathom that they've been lied to, or that they were horrible people who were spreading these lies, again with the denial and projection. That's why I don't want to be around those people when they actually find out or is capable of like sitting down and understanding what they've done, because they're gonna respond very negatively and they're gonna try to take it out on me.
Next stop.
And that's what they've been doing. That's why they've been
Gladstone
following me, because they're very angry at what they did, which involves me, where I'm the victim, but they don't know that. They haven't realized that I'm the victim yet. They think they're the victim. So this is when that happens, like when they start to figure that kind of stuff out, they're gonna get very violent, they're gonna be very upset, and they're gonna be looking for me to resolve their issue because they think
Next
it's my
stop.
responsibility,
Lisgar Street.
because I didn't tell them the truth. Unaware that I didn't even know that they were talking about me. So they don't even know this as a fact. They thought that I knew that they were talking about me, and they thought that I actually knew them. I don't know their names. I've never even met them before in my life. These are complete strangers who are doing this to me. And on top of it, they thought that the foster family catfishing me online and providing fake evidence was enough for them to say that she was involved in it. I'm like, you're just using my
Next
pictures you
stop.
got off of Facebook and other
Dovercourt Road.
social media accounts, and making fake accounts and making fake screenshots to say that I was involved with you somehow, which was fake. And then some people actually bought it because they didn't know it was fake. And I'm like, I've never even spoken to these people in my life before. And turns out one of my classmates from elementary school, who I have stopped talking to because she was doing this kind of stuff behind my back, she was actively saying these things behind my back, which she thought I didn't know about. So I said, I can't be friends with you because you're like that. You keep saying those things about me. So I stopped being friends with her, and her rumor mill got worse and worse over time, and she actually got some people involved in it who supported her specifically because she was black. And it was really fucked up. I had one teacher who actually ended up trying to molest me and support her by molesting me, saying I'm the bad person, I deserve to be mistreated. And I'm like, isn't that what you said about the white people who supposedly owned you, who were slave owners or something? Like, I don't even know. And apparently some people are saying that guy's actually white. He's been in blackface for so long, and he forgot that he wasn't black or something. And I'm like, do people do that? I thought it was obvious. And I'm not really sure if, like, I don't know, like, these people are insane, which is why I'm trying to stay away from them. I've done as much as I can to abide by what they are telling me without going overboard with it. And it turns out there's really nothing I can do to convince them that they're, like, I can't do more than what I've already done. Right, like, they tell me that all these illegal things, they evict me illegally, they say I can't stay at the shelters that I can stay at, they say I can't even walk the streets unless they're okay with that kind of stuff, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know what to say. I just avoid them, because not that I'm listening to them or I'm following their orders, but I don't want to have an entire conversation with this crazy lunatic. Okay, I don't want to stand in the middle of the street arguing with some guy who has never met me before and we don't have a relationship with, about why it's not okay for him to come talk to me that way. Right, like, it's a waste of my life. So I'm like, yeah, that's why I leave, and they follow me around afterwards. But usually after I keep running away from them, they actually start to get the hint that I don't like them, and they're like, oh, maybe she's just not ready right now at the very least, and then they just leave me alone. And I'm like, yeah, that's how insane they are. And I'm like,
Next stop, Gray Street.
they're weird, and I don't like them. But yeah, it's what's been happening, and I'm like, who are these people, and why are they doing this? They've been stealing from me for a very long time, and apparently it came to a point where people found out about my existence, and they were very upset. That's why they're forcing me to live in the homeless shelters. That's why they were hiding me away, because they didn't want anyone to find out where they're getting the material from, or where they're getting their stuff from. And I'm like, and then I actually gave them a chance to actually murder me. I'm like, okay, kill me. Literally, you keep threatening to kill me and saying that I should die. Okay, you do it. Do it right now. And they couldn't. And I'm like, why are you saying those things? That's still a crime. If I'm not actively hurting you and you're threatening me, then yeah, that's a crime. Okay, if I'm not actively hurting you and you're hurting me, then that's also a crime. It's even worse if you're a cop, because you work for the law and you are a government employee. That means you're committing treason. You're gonna get your citizenship revoked. And they didn't really think that part through, because they're like, there's no way I'm never gonna be a citizen. And in the case that I did think that, I guess some other people were like, yeah, well, we're gonna treat you like a refugee to see how these guys feel, and you're gonna feel bad for them, aren't you? And I'm like, I think they deserve it. I don't. That's the difference. So I have no idea why I would think that I deserve these things. Like, the way you're treating me is very, very obnoxious and abusive. And very poor behavior. It's almost as if you were raised in a barn and you didn't actually have human contact until you were about puberty aged. That's when your family decided to sell you off. Like, this is very, very, very
Next stop.
inappropriate.
Bathurst Street.